Let me start with a simple question that almost nobody stops to think about. If your money made a lot of profit this year, would you really know how much of that profit you can safely spend without hurting your future? Most people don't. And the reason is simple. Nobody ever explained this properly. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people invest for years, see their account balance going up, feel confident, and yet slowly lose purchasing power over time. Not because they invested badly, but because they used their money the wrong way. And this mistake is silent, gradual, and extremely dangerous. The problem starts when people confuse returns with real gains. You open your brokerage app, you see green numbers, and you assume that everything there is free money. But money doesn't work like that. There is an invisible cost to keeping your wealth intact, and that cost is inflation. Inflation doesn't send notifications. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't show up as a negative number in your account. It simply happens, and every single year, it quietly reduces what your money can buy. If you ignore that, you are losing money even while thinking you're winning. Now, let's use a realistic example with today's numbers. No exaggeration, no fantasy. Imagine you have $1 million invested in US Treasuries, something very safe, like Treasury bills or short-term Treasury funds. With current yields, that money can generate around 5% per year. That's about $50,000 in annual income. Most people stop right there. They see the $50,000 and think, great, that's what I can spend. But this is exactly where the mistake happens. Over the same period, US inflation runs at roughly 3% per year. That means that just to keep your $1 million worth the same next year, you need to replace about $30,000. This is not profit. This is not optional. This is the cost of keeping your wealth alive. And here's the key insight most people never hear. Inflation does not care what you do with your returns. If you spend everything your investment generates, inflation will still reduce your purchasing power. Quietly, relentlessly. Now comes the shift in mindset. You do not need to reinvest all your returns, but you do need to reinvest the inflation portion. In this example, out of the $50,000 your money produced, about $30,000 must go back into the investment to protect your purchasing power. The remaining $20,000 is your real gain. That $20,000 is the money you can spend without guilt, without fear, without slowly destroying your future. This one distinction changes everything. You stop asking, how much did I make? And start asking, how much did I make above inflation? That single question separates people who preserve wealth from people who slowly consume it without realizing. At the end of the year, by reinvesting the inflation portion, your capital grows from $1 million to about $1,030,000. On paper, it looks like growth. In reality, it simply maintained the same purchasing power, and that is exactly what long-term investors aim for. Now imagine repeating this process year after year. Each year, the base grows slightly. The returns grow with it. Inflation takes its share, but the real gain remains. You build a system that is sustainable, predictable, and incredibly powerful over time. This is how large endowments, foundations, and wealthy families manage money across generations, not by chasing crazy returns, but by strictly controlling how much they spend. They don't ask, how much did we earn? They ask, how much can we safely spend without harming the future? Let's make this even simpler. Think of inflation as rent your money has to pay just to exist. If you don't pay that rent, your money slowly disappears. So the first rule is always the same. Pay inflation first, only then decide what to do with what's left. With current US numbers, using Treasuries, your real return might be around 2% per year. That means for every $1 million invested, you can safely spend about $20,000 per year without losing purchasing power. That's roughly $1,600 per month, while keeping your wealth intact in real terms. And here's something important. This logic is not just for rich people. It works with any amount of money. $100,000, $50,000, $10,000. The principle never changes. Only the comfort level does. Another critical point. You don't need to predict inflation perfectly. Nobody can. What matters is understanding the rule. If inflation runs a bit higher one year, you adjust the next. What destroys wealth is not being wrong once. It's ignoring inflation for decades. Now think about what this means for your life. Instead of constantly worrying about whether your money will last, you create a system. You know exactly how much you can spend. You know your capital is protected, and time starts working for you, not against you. And even if interest rates fall in the future, this logic still holds. You simply adjust your spending downward. The rule never breaks. Never spend the portion of your returns that protects your purchasing power. This is not a trick. It's not a shortcut. It's not financial hype. It's basic math, applied with discipline. Simple, boring, and incredibly effective. So the next time someone tells you, my investments made this much money, the real question isn't how much they made. The real question is how much they made after inflation. That's where the truth lives. If you understand this, you're already ahead of most people. And if you apply it consistently, no matter what happens in the economy, you will never slowly destroy your wealth while thinking you're doing fine. Now, let me help you apply this in real life. At the end of each year, look at your total returns. Look at the inflation rate. Reinvest that inflation amount first. What's left is your safe spending number. If you want extra safety, spend less and reinvest more. That margin becomes your protection. Money is not just about making more. It's about protecting what you've already built and using it wisely. Once you understand that, your financial decisions become calmer, clearer, and more intentional. If this helped you, remember this simple rule. Protect your money from inflation first. Spend the real gain second. This one idea can change your financial future. And if you're just starting, don't feel discouraged. The amount doesn't matter. Learning the rule early is what gives time the chance to do the heavy lifting. If this made sense, share it with someone who invests but feels like they're never getting ahead. Sometimes, all they're missing is the right equation.